Welcome to the LaPaz Lounge, where men are breaking mental health cycles.
Welcome to the LaPaz Lounge, where men are talking about why mental health is important.
Welcome to the LaPaz Lounge, where we focus on why your mental health is important and how to break mental health cycles.
Welcome to the LaPaz Lounge, where it's a safe place for conversation. Welcome to the LaPaz Lounge. I am your host, Lakeisha Sampson, and today we'll be talking about mental health and the importance of mental health. And on today's topic, we'll be dealing with our two lovely men, Mr. Trent Sampson and Mr. Timothy Stewart. We'll be discussing why mental health is important, but one of the things I want to tap in is understanding why men need mental health. Today, Trent Sampson and Mr. Timothy Stewart, they come from two totally different backgrounds. Trent Sampson, would you mind giving us a little background about yourself?
Yes, I'm 39 years old. I'm Arcadia, Louisiana native. Been married for 7 years. I came up under single mother with a single mother. Me and my two siblings. I'm the youngest of the three of us. And not to say that our dads wasn't there, but they wasn't there like full time, like in the home with us, like 100% of the time. So, yeah.
Thank you for that introduction. As he stated, Trent Sampson, he is a native from Arcadia, and he does have a different background. So one of the things that when I first met my husband, Trent Sampson, I didn't know a lot about his background, but I did hear just from the community how well of a athlete he was, and one of the things that they talked about is him being a great football player and a great basketball player. And one of those attributes was able to get him a scholarship to Grambling State University. And some of the things that he did mention during our relationship, he talked about him straying away, and he did mention that he was incarcerated. And so I heard you mention about being raised by a single mom. You and your two brothers. You have two other brothers.
Correct.
A total of three. You have two other brothers, and you stated that being raised by your mom, would you say that affected your childhood and led you to be incarcerated? I'm sorry, if that was the thing, would you say that?
Yes, I would say it has something. It has 100% something to do with it. Like I said, about my father not being at 100%, not to say that he wasn't, because my dad was a good dad. You know, I don't want to take that from him, but like for example, I hung around a bunch of my friends that came up in the same exact, upbringing, without dads being in the home, and all of us would like gel and click together. All we had was each other because of our fathers weren't there with us 100% of the time, So then of course all of us, fell and bumped the head once or twice. And like I said, with my coming up and when I had got my college football scholarship, things didn't go right for me, and it wasn't because of my dad. I mean, it had something to do with it, but it wasn't 100% his fault. I had to take responsibility for something, for my actions too. But I ended up losing my football scholarship, and so I turned to alcohol and drugs to try to cope, and everything just went downhill from there. And it wasn't too long after that I ended up in federal prison.
And so I heard you say that you turned to alcohol and drugs. Would you say that affected your mental health? And if so, how would you say that affected your mental health? You said you coped for drugs. Was it because your dad wasn't there, or you just didn't have anyone to talk to, or you didn't want to put the stress on your mom, or the pressure of losing your scholarship? Did all that affect your mental health?
It did. It was most definitely the pressure of letting everybody down. And so yeah, that's why I just lost it. I didn't care if I live or died, to be honest. I feel like I let everybody down, my parents, my town, my school. I feel like I let everybody down. So yep, that's what I just turned, and I didn't care. I didn't care about the outcome of my life at that point.
Okay, great. I do have some questions. I just want to tap in on being incarcerated, because a lot of our men need to hear that Mr. Trent Sampson, I know that he's my husband, but in the community, they know him by his nickname, Berg. And a lot of people, when we're together, they call him by his nickname. And a lot of people still kind of relate his lifestyle from the past. And so I want to ask you, after being incarcerated, what was the biggest challenge in rebuilding your life, and how has it affected your mental health journey?
I would say the biggest transition I had to make coming out of the federal system, out of the prison system, is learn how to work and make an honest dollar.
Yeah, because you used to making the fast money, you would say.
Yes.
Making fast money. Now you have to cope and understand and working a 9 to 5, which is something you wasn't used to doing, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
So that took a lot of getting used to how to value a dollar. Yeah.
So our next guest is Mr. Timothy Stewart. I won't give an introduction. I will allow Mr. Timothy to give his introduction of himself. Tell us a little bit about your background and how in mental health.
Absolutely. Yeah, so again, I'm from Jonesboro, Louisiana, raised up in a Christian home, 2-parent household, in a family that was pretty well known in the area. We have a kind of educational background in our family. With our family, we really pushed education and pushed, just having a relationship with God, growing up in a Christian household. And then, of course, have a little bit of history also in the mental health field. That was one of my first jobs when I graduated college. I graduated from United State University in 2015.
Okay, yeah.
And so that was my first job working in mental health. So I'm extremely passionate about mental health and just being healthy within yourself, not just, materially, but being whole as an individual.
Yes, absolutely. And I heard you say you was born in a home with a 2-parent home, correct?
Yes.
And your father, he was a pastor, right? So some of the stigma that I would like to ask as far as men, being, I know for us ladies, you hear about, the church girl. Well, did being the child of a pastor, did that affect you coming up, was a lot of peer pressure trying to fit in, or a lot of peer pressure trying to be the church boy, or just whatever? Did you feel a lot of pressure for that?
Absolutely. It's still a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Navigating through that space, and especially, when I went to college, I never moved away. So the pressure of having to navigate through that college experience and having to know that people are watching you, and you have this thing of you don't want to let your family name be represented in a negative way.
Absolutely.
And so having the pressure of almost having to be perfect in the eyes of people and living the fishbowl life, it was very difficult to navigate.
Yeah.
And you learn as a PK how to find yourself and navigate through those spaces.
Absolutely.
Without disappointing those around you.
Absolutely.
If you can understand what that would mean.
Absolutely. And so I have some questions from you as well. So one of the questions that I have is, how does the cultural background of Black men influence perception of mental health within our community?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm super passionate about this conversation.
Okay.
And knowing that, our Black men, we need to start having these conversations more.
Absolutely.
This is so important for us to really sit down and take down the mask and be honest with how we feel.
Yes.
Because oftentimes, to answer your question, oftentimes people put pressure on us to remain, tough.
Strong. Yeah.
Even you think about it, like when you're a little kid, and I've heard this before, like people when you get a whooping or your parents get on to you, it's you only hear us saying like, shut up, close your mouth, I'll give you something to cry about. Like, you're not even allowing a child to express what they're going through.
Emotions,
You're teaching them to suppress their emotion, and that becomes a pattern throughout our lives. And I can remember when I was coming up, like if you fall, as a young, they like, dude, what you crying for? You crying like a little girl.
Yeah.
You couldn't cry.
Yeah.
And it's like, but that's not realistic.
It's not realistic.
Right.
Yeah. Good thing. So Trent, I love what you just said, Mr. Timothy, as well as not being a male can express your emotions. Right. So let me ask you something, Mr. Sampson or Trent. Did you feel? I know when you stated. I just want to kind of piggyback on when you stated about your.
Hi, my name is Deon Jones. I am a licensed professional counselor with a specialization in family therapy, couples therapy, anxiety, and depression. As an assessment coordinator for LaPaz Counseling Service, I utilize the appropriate assessment tools to evaluate and properly diagnose the client's needs and their progress.
Community and the pressure of life, trying to cope with society. And a lot of times you may have dealt with some struggles. Did you feel like, hey, I can't talk to nobody. I don't want to feel weak. Feel the pressure of being vulnerable. Yes, you know.
Absolutely. I think as far as like men with, as far as mental health goes, it is kind of harder to talk about it, you know. First at the beginning stages of it, but looking back at it now, you know, I wish I would have talked to somebody about it instead of holding it in. I had so much resentment and a whole lot of things going on, building up over years and years and years. And it's not good to hold that kind of stuff in. But mental health is a real thing. It is something to keep an eye on, and you know, release. You don't want to let all that build up inside over time.
Yes. So I have a question for you, Mr. Sampson. What would you say to men who feel like seeking counseling is a sign of weakness, especially those who have similar backgrounds as yourself? What would you say to your peers that's watching us right now?
It is okay if you're going through anything. They got all kind of help out there for you, as far as like mental health clinics, and if you're dealing with substance abuse and all that, it's a real thing. You should definitely go get help ASAP, and don't let it ruin you. It's never too late.
Yeah. And can I tag on to that?
Yes.
Because, you know, it's important for you to feel safe in those spaces.
Yes.
That when you go into these spaces, they sign saying that they can't talk about nothing that is discussed in that room. And so that should be, I think, a reason to say, okay, I should feel safe to do that. But oftentimes our black men are afraid to dig up those things, and not just black men, just really in the black culture. A lot of times people don't want to deal with the things of their past. They like, listen, that was old. I don't want to deal with that.
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, talk about it. And we're masters at sweeping it on the rug.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
And I want to piggyback off that too. Like I had a lot of stuff build up of all kind of issues that I had in the past, and once I finally sat down with some professionals and let it all out, I felt 100% better.
Yes. Mr. Timothy, I have a question for you. Share us with a personal experience where you felt your mental health was challenged. I remember you saying that being a PK child, and that's very a challenge to deal with on a day-to-day. But how did you navigate through some of those situations? Kind of share with something.
Absolutely. So, as I mentioned, you know, as a PK, you learn how to navigate and move. PKs, if they're not appearing like they're doing what everybody else doing, at some point in their life, they learn how to do it where you wouldn't know they're doing it.
Yes. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because your life is in a box. It's in a fish bowl. So people always see it. So sometimes you're trying to discover yourself, all while trying to not mess the brand, the family, the name, and all that type of stuff. And so, you know, there have been times that I've had to navigate. And also, and I didn't tell you this, I started preaching at the age of 15.
Okay.
So
I didn't know that.
That pressure was so difficult because you're navigating through becoming a young man. You're going through college. You're having emotions. You're having different life experiences, different feelings. And so you're trying to navigate through this and appear perfect to people.
Yeah. And you're at 15 as well.
At 15, you know. And so that was within itself was difficult. But, you know, I think that, you know, that was a time that I was dealing with depression. And I'm really good at hiding depression.
Right.
Like I'm a pro at it because the church culture teaches you how to suppress how you feel. How you doing? I'm blessed.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
You know?
Oh my goodness.
It's like sometimes I want to tell you I'm not good.
I'm not good. I'm not good.
I'm not feeling good right now.
I'm not good.
I'm not good. I want to throw it all away.
Yeah.
I want to give it all up.
Or just pray about it. You want to just pray about it. Oh God.
Sometimes I want to cuss about it.
Yeah. But I understand.
It's real.
Yeah. Because we do hear, you know, especially just pray about it. Just pray about it. And we do need to pray about it. But also seek help.
Absolutely.
And as I stated, one of the things that we struggle with, especially with our men, they're taught to be strong all the time, and sometimes you can't be strong.
Right.
And just listening to you, Trent, a lot of times you said that you felt vulnerable, but you didn't want to talk about it. Now, just talking to me, your wife, it was a lot of things I didn't understand, and you shared with me, and I was like, oh my goodness, and like, oh, he really did experience this. I'm just thinking he's just this tough guy, but when he broke down and talked to me and was vulnerable listening to me, even sharing it with me, because he has to be this macho man for for his children, for his mom, everyone that looks up to you, right? So it was kind of hard to kind of be vulnerable to me. And so how did it make you feel? You talked to someone, you talked to a professional, but talking to your wife, how did you feel sharing some vulnerable moments with me? Because I remember one time you told me, I just broke down crying. You was telling me a scenario, and you said, baby, I just broke down crying. And I was like, wow, so how did it make you feel sharing it? Did you feel weak, or did you feel like, oh, she gonna laugh at me, she gonna talk, she gonna throw this in my face?
No, it's actually, as it is every time, it's a relief.
Yeah.
Like it's something that I need, that needs to be done, instead of just holding it in. So, yeah, that's what it felt like, though. To be honest, yeah, a relief, a big relief.
Yeah.
And thank you for listening.
Yes, you're welcome.
I have so much respect for people like this.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Trent, because
Thank you.
a lot of people go through what you go through, and they never recover from it. And they take their past and make it as an excuse of why they can't overcome it.
Right.
And like hearing, like you mentioned about having, a single parent home and navigating through those challenges, and then navigating through having, going through, incarceration, and then of course the pressure of being, losing a scholarship at the university, and you navigated through all of that, and you did the work. That's the key. A lot of people don't want to do the work. It takes work if you really want to be healed and whole.
That's good. That's good.
You know what I'm saying? Because you can go through and you can buy the cars. You can suppress it with the likes. You can suppress it with the money, the career, becoming a workaholic. You can suppress it, but at some point, if you don't face the music,
That's right.
and face the person in the mirror, it literally, it's gonna burst. You're gonna burst.
You're gonna burst, yeah.
You know, and I see it all the time, whether it's celebrities or whether it's just local individuals. Like they get to the point they never deal with something, and it becomes toxic, and it's gonna come out. It's gonna come out.
Yes. I love that, Timothy, and I love that also, Trent, that you guys are two totally different backgrounds, and two different worlds. For someone that you said that you was good at hiding your depression, and versus you was a person like, hey, I had to be tough. I had to be, because you come from a world where you had to provide. I remember you saying you was a provider for your family. So coming from a different background with a single parent, being incarcerated, and also just to tell the people you went to jail once, federal prison once, and haven't been back. So that's a lot to say that you can do it, How do you feel about when people bring up your past? How does that make you feel? You have to remind them, hey, I'm not that guy anymore.
Right. Do
they still remind you, hey, guy, you remember we used to do this? Or you remember those days, and what's your nickname, Bird? I remember he told me when we first started dating, because I thought they were saying Bird, but they were saying Berg with a G. And he was like, my name's not Bird, I'm Trent, And so I was like, oh, okay. Because the guy that I met Trent, and so I didn't meet Berg. So when he in stores, I'd be like, what? This is what he did that? So what? So it's just to see the transition. And he told me, baby, you probably wouldn't have wanted me back in the day. Because he was like, because he's from Arcadia, but I was in that area a lot. And I don't know how we missed one another, because, my sister-in-law, she lived in Arcadia. So I was there a lot, but we missed one another. And I'm just proud of the guy, this man, I can say that's my husband, and he's open to coming here today talking about the challenges.
To the LaPaz Lounge, where we focus on why your mental health is important and how to break mental health cycles. and for all of us to have a safe space. I tell people all the time, therapists are there for a reason.
Yes.
We like to vent to our friends. We like to share things with our family. And then whenever we get mad at our family and our friends, we have to worry about if we're going to hear that information that we share with them. And so I tell people all the time, get you a therapist. We are literally bound by confidentiality laws. We can't share your business. So get you a therapist. Don't vent to your friends. So absolutely.
He has faced and how he's overcome those challenges. And also Mr. Stewart, oh my God, I met this fella at church and I was just so blown away by his voice and just to hear that he was dealing with depression. Dealing with some depression at some times. Probably why you was up there singing your heart out.
Listen, I sing the best when
Oh my God! Oh God! Yes.
If I slay the people, no, it's coming from somewhere.
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness.
No, yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
and so just hearing that he dealt, and then also you are in the mental health field as well. So you said something earlier when you and I was talking. It's just the nature of being a counselor. You know, some things we just do because it's the nature of us, and so I know. I know we're talking about men, but I just want to say this. Sometimes I say the therapist need a therapist.
Absolutely.
So would you agree?
The preacher need if the preacher need a preacher, if everybody, the accountant need an accountant.
Yes,
the counselor needs a counselor, and I think that there are three things you have to have: a good attorney, a good accountant, and a good therapist.
And a good therapist, yes. No matter what background you're dealing with, yes. So I definitely agree that the therapists need a therapist. I think our men, I really agree that our men need to come out more, and it's okay. You know, would you guys say it's okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's okay, and that doesn't make you weak. You know, doesn't make you less than. Actually, makes it more open.
And the more you talk, the easier it is for you to talk about it. And the more you talk about what your experiences were, the more you heal from it.
Yes.
That's a
And
fact.
so, you have to be able to talk. But that's the hardest thing. A lot of people, especially men, we're oftentimes could be introverts. You know, with our emotions.
Yes.
You know, think about, when a woman comes home from work, she's like, oh, this what happened. I went to this and da-da-da-da. And when they talk and they're so expressive.
Yeah.
I walked past this and the room was gray and it had this carpet on the floor. And then when you ask us, like, how was your day? It was good.
Yeah, look, wait a minute. Look,
And
Trent,
then
we can
that's it.
relate because look, I can be telling Trent because I can be excited,
frustrated.
and I can be like, "Are you listening to me? Do you hear me?" And because he could just be zoned out, and I'm like, "Oh,"
And I'll tell you, he hears you.
Yeah, he hears me because he'll come back and say, I'm like, "Oh, are you listening to me, Trent?" And because I'd be so excited, he just be so poker face.
But women are so expressive.
We're naturally emotional creatures. Yeah.
I mean, y'all are just expressive. You know, you tell me to describe a room, it was gray carpet. You know, but if y'all describe it,
Detail.
Detail. Yes.
Striped carpet, and it was metallic.
Yes.
But I think it's important though that we learn how to have those moments where we talk, because if you don't heal, then you make it risky for the people that come under you, because broken people produce broken people.
That's it. Yes, that's right. What they say, hurt people hurt people.
Hurt people hurt people.
I agree.
And here is the thing: when you don't heal from what you have gone through, the person who you're trying not to be like, you end up becoming. So it is important that we have to face who we are. You get what I'm saying?
I agree.
Because think about it. You ever hear like people that were like they grew up and they grew up in a strict household and they didn't get a chance to have the birthday parties and the toys, right? You know this story. It's all so familiar. And like, when I grow up, my child gonna have this and this, and the child grows up and they have all these toys for them and all this type of stuff. The child ends up being very spoiled. And it ends up kind of almost repeating the same cycle because you're trying to give that child something that they're not even asking for.
Something while you was talking, something popped up in my head about a conversation Trina and I had it actually wasn't with me. It was just him and his buddies. One of his guy friends was over to the house, and they was having a conversation about being raised in a home with a two-parent versus not being raised in a home with not both of your parents, and your lifestyle. What would I say? Lifestyle may change. You know, you hear maybe, if he was raised with his mom and dad, he probably wouldn't have done all of this, or he probably wouldn't have went to jail. Versus, that's why he didn't, because he didn't have his dad in his life or his father in his life. Would you agree that? This is a question for both of you. Do you agree? I'm gonna ask you, Trent, because I disagree. Because you have some children that have it all, and they come out and they just do it 360 or do an opposite of what, like, they have doctors and lawyers of parents, and then they come out and they be drug addicts or thieves. So do you still feel that if your father, even though you stated you have a great active father, but do you believe your lifestyle would have changed if he was actually living in the home with your mom? You think you probably wouldn't have sold drugs, or you would have kept your scholarship? Do you think if he was there?
Absolutely, I do.
Okay, can you elaborate on why you feel that way?
I feel like I needed him to be there, be there with me, like, full time, not just, but coming up, as I look back at it now, I can look at it, I'm grown now, I understand that, him and my mother split, but as a child, I don't understand that. It's not registering to me. It's like, why are you not here right now, when I need you right now, So, yeah, I think that would have definitely.
You agree with that?
It would have turned out better, yeah.
Okay, but you were in a home, but you still dealt with depression.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you feel that?
And you deal with mommy and daddy issues.
Yeah. While they're in the home, sometimes, yeah. So they might be still together, living together, but
absolutely,
physically, mentally, they're not together.
And here's the thing, and that's why it's important, because he said something so powerful. When he went through his challenges, he said that a part of it dealt with his childhood trauma, but a part of it, he had to take responsibility for his actions.
Yes.
And at some point, it's really in the choice of the individual whether or not they're going to make the change in their life. Because you can be in a household and grow up in the same household, dealing with the same rules, the same thing, with the same two parents. And one child turns and goes to college, get the degree, become successful, and then the other one goes on drugs. Yes. It really it builds up to, or comes to, the choice of the individual. Wow. And a lot of people don't own those choices that they make, and understand that it's, stop blaming somebody else for your problems. Yeah. And that's, I think that was an intricate part in the trajectory of why your life turned around. Yeah, and I want to take some of the responsibility for it too, because my dad, my father, he wasn't, or my mother, they wasn't drug addicts or alcoholics. So that was a choice you decided to do. Drug dealers and stuff like that. Yeah, so I had to take some responsibility too. They didn't raise me up to be like that, Yeah. So I think taking that responsibility and, like you say, putting that choice on yourself, and that is so important. For us as we navigate is in understanding that some of your trauma that you went through is really just life. It's just life. Yeah. And you put a lot of the pressure on your parents and make your parents feel guilty for the best that they could do with the resources that they had. That's right, man. That's right. And you probably have to have my dad on for to tell his story. Yeah. But he has an incredible story. He went through a very traumatic childhood. Wow. Very, very, there was a lot of trauma throughout his childhood, okay? He grew up in a Cosby family, okay? Cosby family, perfect, okay? And through that, he had experienced his trauma, but as he navigated through the help of God, through the help of prayer, through the help of a support system. Did he talk to someone? He talked to someone, and he navigated through his trauma, and he healed. Yes. And because he healed, he didn't raise children that dealt with his trauma. Okay, that's good. A lot of people are dealing with someone else's trauma. It's really not even your trauma that you're carrying.
I want to talk about that too. You know, it's so easy to to talk about our parents, but we never take the time out to think how was their childhood, how was they brought up. You know what I'm saying? That means everything.
Yeah, because our parents teach us the best way they know how. You know.
Yep.
And so there's no rules into parenting.
A single parent.
That's a lot.
They're having to wear both hats.
Yeah.
You know, having to go to work and to be a provider.
Mm-hmm.
You know, having to mow grass and clean up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's a lot of pressure. And so somewhere in that,
Mm-hmm.
there is going to be a lack of emotional support.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lack of this. And when it was so crazy, because when I had to navigate through my trauma,
Mm-hmm.
and I began to understand, and the therapist began to teach me of what the trauma of what my parents had gone through, and I began to live in the lens of what they had experienced, and I sat in their pain, and I sat in what they went through.
Yes.
It wasn't until then that I started having a better compassion about what they were going through, and it helped me to process my pain, and then give them grace. That was the best that they could do.
That was the best.
The fact that you are here, and the fact that you survived this far, is an indication that you should give them grace right there.
That's right.
That's
that man, they did something. That's right. That's right.
So before I let you guys go, what advice? I'll start with you, Mr. Trent. And I say Mr. Trent, even though this is my husband, but we just want to kind of keep it professional. What would you say, Trent? What advice would you give to our young men? And I know I asked you, but just to your friends about mental health, your takeaway, all of that. What advice would you give? I know you said seek help, but what advice about, especially somebody who has been incarcerated, who's dealt with drugs or alcohol? What advice would you give?
Hopefully, you guys can look at my situation and my background and feel like there is hope, and it is hope. Mm-hmm. There is hope. I'm living witness. I have a living testimony. That you can overcome anything. If you have to put your pride and your ego to the side.
That's
and go seek help if you need it. If you think you need help, go seek help. There's somebody out there that can help you. Help you overcome anything.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Same question, Mr. Timothy. What advice would you have? I know we asked that earlier, but tell us some advice would you give for a PK kid, and just actually advice to our men about mental health. What advice would you give?
Absolutely. First thing I would encourage you is that whatever you're going through, God can heal whatever you have gone through. No matter how dark, no matter how deep, no matter how traumatic. If you give your problems, the Bible says that my yoke, take upon my yoke, because my yoke is easy and my burdens are light. And so when you learn how to give it and don't carry it because it's too heavy for you, then God can heal you. That's the first thing. And the second thing, be open to being healed in non-traditional methods. Be open to not just what you're familiar with, but be open to going to therapy. Be open to going to counseling and be vulnerable, because when you talk about it and when you heal, you can do that. You don't have to put your situations or look at being rich or social media likes or trying to chase a career to ignore your past experiences, but actually deal with it. And once you heal from it, and once you deal with your pain, you think you're successful now. You think life is going good for you. Wait till you heal.
Right.
You have not seen the best yet. Greater is coming for you.
And there you have it on the LaPaz Lounge. You have heard it from Mr. Trent Sampson and Mr. Timothy Stewart on mental health. I look forward to the changes that you guys, the impact that you all are making on the men. Hopefully that someone is seeing this right now and seeking counseling. If you are, we're open every day, Monday through Friday. We're taking walk-ins. Feel free to give us a call at 318-224-9200 at LaPaz Behavioral Health Counseling. And we are open to listening to you, our men in the community. Thank you.